Tell you what, fellas. See these pizzas? Yeah, I'm not even qualified to deliver them, much less be president. No joke, I looked at my low approval numbers. I said to the staff, I said, hey, we need an unnecessary thing that rhymes with score. For real, no joke. So I guess we're blaming Putin for everything now. Food shortages, that was Putin. Biden's gaffes about Putin are Putin.
This man cannot remain in power.
Inflation from 2021, that was Putin. 2022 especially is Putin. Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, that was Putin. By the way, speaking of Will Smith, we saw Salt getting a standing O at the Oscars. Can we now finally accept that Hollywood has no business lecturing us about anything? I know you must be saying, but they're helping us save the planet. Tell you what, when I finally see DiCaprio, Ruffalo, or Ben Stiller on a plane riding coach, sitting in the middle seat between two sweaty, heavy-set people, maybe then I'll listen to their speeches about how the peasants just need to cut back on fuel consumption. Speaking of heavy-set people and planets, Star Trek just gave us the nightmare vision of Stacey Abrams as president of Earth. Yeah, this is completely unrealistic. Not that there's a president of Earth, but Stacey Abrams? Come on. There's no energy source powerful enough to deal with the stress of teleporting her. It would be physically impossible. By the way, I apologize, I have a cold. Or now as we call it, a deadly new pathogen. I think we as a people should just rename Pfizer Placebo. So Anthony Fauci is considering retiring, supposedly. Oh no. He just wants to go home and quietly torture beagles without all the fuss and bother. I know I shouldn't attack him because he represents science. But look what he said here back in the day.
But she's had the flu for 14 days. Should she get a flu shot?
Well, no. If she got the flu for 14 days, she's as protected as anybody can be, because the best vaccination is to get infected yourself.
She should not get it again?
No, she doesn't need it, because it's the most potent vaccination is getting infected yourself.
Wow, this young Fauci guy is a flat earther. Total conspiracy theorist. Look at this misinformation. Let's face it, okay? The left has turned hypocrisy into a science. And remember, speaking of science, there's biolabs in Ukraine. That's misinformation too. Completely wrong. So if something happens, get ready for stories about Ukraine's wet markets.
Want to wish you a happy Women's History Month.
So it's Women's History Month, and
who I'm pleased to be joined with this afternoon. So thank you so much for joining us. You've been instrumental, as mentioned, in the space acquisition and integration, get things moving. So how is that going?
It's going really well. It's an amazing opportunity.
Between this and women's athletics, women's celebrations are really developing into a good old boys network, isn't it? Re-forward, everybody. I need your help. So subscribe, like, hit the bell, comment. Thank you. So Joe's taking a victory lap. He can't stop telling us how great the economy is. Biden has his lowest approval despite a booming economy, says MSNBC. It must be comforting for our reporters to know that if things don't work out here in America, they can always take their gaslighting skills to North Korea media or maybe Iran.
I think it's become clearer that fairness is overrated.
It's great that all these new jobs are being created until you realize they're not actually new jobs. It's just people going back to work to their old job. But either way, low unemployment is great. Now, excuse me, I gotta go panic shop at Costco and hoard buy some eggs before it jumps up another 10%. Joe just gave a speech saying he's going to release 1 million barrels of oil every day from the strategic reserve. He also added some ridiculous shit about buying an electric car.
Of electric vehicles that a typical driver will save about $80 a month.
$50,000 car to save $80 a month. These are the people running our budget. But the additional scary thing is that Buttigieg mentioned all this about the electric car nonsense and was skewered for it.
From rural to suburban to urban communities can all benefit from the gas savings of driving an EV.
And Joe's repeating the same talking points. What that tells you is that when it comes to inflation, they have nothing else to say. The insultingly tone-deaf advice to buy a super expensive car is all they got. That's scary, but at least Joe has good backup leadership.
Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create these jobs. And there is such great significance to the passage of time when we think about a day in the life of our children.
Isn't it great to have a vice president who sounds like a heroin addict trying to compose a fortune cookie? So the New York Times, Washington Post, CBS, NBC are now coming around to the fact that Hunter's laptop is real after all.
Oops. Fairness is overrated.
That explosive October surprise became a year and a half later April surprise? That's quite a blackout. 18 months. That's 2 Hunter baby daddy stripper pregnancies ago. It's a long time. Bill Maher, who's on the left and has a left-wing audience, was very kind in describing it.
So the New York Post got a hold of what was in the computer, and, you know, because the New York Post is a Republican paper, and the New York Times and the Washington Post are the Democrat paper. That's where we are again, kind of. And the Republican paper, Twitter wouldn't cancel their account.
Side note, this absolutely confirms Twitter as the Democrat social media platform then, doesn't it? And naturally, there was no penalty.
Can't even report on this story. And now 2 years later, the New York Times and the Washington Post have come around to say, okay, there was something there.
No, Bill, not something there. Everything there. It wasn't just ignored either. It was categorized as Russian misinformation.
There's overwhelming evidence that from the intelligence community that the Russians are engaged.
Joe Biden's son. There are major questions about the origins and the accuracy of that story, that the president's personal attorney was peddling Russian disinformation.
Accusing Twitter and Facebook of censorship after the social media companies blocked the spread of an unverified story.
Experts say it has all the hallmarks of information laundering.
And 50 high-ranking intelligence officials legitimized that blatant lie. So this proves you can have what amounts to the most scandalous electronic confession note, a smoking gun, or smoking crack pipe. You can have the most lurid, disgusting videos and pics, and a clear corruption "my dad is for sale" sign, later to be corroborated by witnesses, and you'll have legitimate, stellar, reputable people telling you that you're a kook to believe all that. They'll even tell you with a straight face that Hunter's actually a gifted artist, with paintings worth $500,000, and talent worthy to fill up a whole art exhibit. So if the truth makes you a kook, then it's time for a full-scale Kookification of America. And hey, if Hunter's laptop is real, then you can bet that Ashley Biden's diary is also real, with all the creepy underage daddy showers.
I mean, it's like the gods have suddenly decided to conspire against you.
Leslie Stahl is right. The gods, or at least her gods, did in fact conspire against Trump. Whether you like him or hate him, conspiring they did. All the pristine, powerful people. A cabal, if you will, of powerful people, working behind the scenes to influence perceptions, change rules and laws, and steer media coverage and the flow of information. Just as Time magazine told us long ago. Time magazine's Orwellian description leaves out the fact that they lied and cheated in ways we can leave to your imagination. When they tamp down something, there's a motive, and it's not a good one. Conversely, now that they're revealing stuff, there's a motive, and it's not a good one. They seem to be throwing Biden overboard. Question is, who do they have in mind to replace him?
Why aren't I 50 points ahead, you might ask?
Thanks for watching. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe. Be sure to pass around to anybody who might like my content. And I'll see you the next time.